Good evening and welcome to your weekly dosage of Touchy Gooners. You may recognize the voice. It's not your usual host voice. We have Lou Bob, who is currently on a tour of Africa doing his cultural enrichment. We have Dan Coogs, who is being pammed by wedding planning. So you got your boy SB Carbaholic here stepping up to the plate, even though I'm currently recovering from COVID. No symptoms though, but yeah, self-isolation at home. And so we're here to discuss a few things today. So I'm joined by, firstly, Dr. Leroy. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I just want to say fuck Lewis in it. Just
And I'm also joined by our bilingual Bundesliga expert, German Dan. How are you, sir?
Yo, yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
hey, that league ain't beating the allegations. League ain't beating the allegations.
Don't worry about it, man. I'm working. I got something
Good
cool.
ass Liga. Everyone opening cheeks for each other.
I got something for Serie ass as well.
Okay, cool. So let's get into it. First and foremost, we'll touch on our most recent game. So 5 wins in a row now in all competitions, the latest being a 5-0 away win at Norwich in the Premier League. Obviously, Norwich aren't a great side. They've been getting battered left, right, and centre. But we put them to the sword. I think Liverpool went to Carrow Road and only scored 3. We put 5 past them. So some of our concerns earlier on in the season, where maybe we weren't scoring and creating as many chances as we would like, but within the last 3 weeks or so, it started to come together a bit more. So Dr. Lee, let me start with you. What were your thoughts on the game?
My thoughts were, overriding thoughts were, it's nice to be the bully boy again. Didn't it feel good? Because when we've been playing these teams, even like the shit teams, we were scraping 1-0 wins, and I felt that the games were still being played on the margins, and they were still about the fine margins. And when you're playing teams like this, it really doesn't go well, because you could still easily draw or lose those games. And in the last sort of few games, it's felt like we should be beating these teams. Don't get me wrong. So we can't get too carried away for beating these teams heavily. But the fact that it was comprehensive and that we beat them up, that's what made me really happy. So overall, looking at the game, I really like the balance in that attack. I think the profiles that are there mesh together really nicely. So you obviously got Lacazette. Lacazette's got really good qualities in terms of his technical ability, in terms of how he links up with players, and in terms of his just work rate in industry. He's really good at pinning people and not letting people get past him and rolling. That goes really well with Odegaard, because Odegaard, you could see, is really enjoying playing with Lacazette and just having a little bit of a bounce pass to play off and being more connected to him. That with Martinelli is a demon in terms of his movement. He causes problems. So his movement isn't just to score goals. It just moves opposition players around. And I feel that his introduction into the team, moving opposition players around like that, is really doing a lot for the cohesiveness of our attack, because we're becoming more potent again. We're becoming more dangerous again, simply from adding that in. And the fact that he's moving a lot, and a lot of the time he's looking for the ball, Odegaard is finding him. I feel that, as well as the introduction of Laka again, that's another factor that's literally made Odegaard come alive. And when Odegaard's alive, that guy's a player. He's a proper baller. And then all of this coincides with Saka's hot streak. Saka is our most important attacker by far. He's the only one on the team that can break the game open. He's the only one in the squad that will do something individualistic that will so get that team running in the opposite direction, change the course of the attack, break the attack open, do something, that bit of X factor. And the fact that he's on a hot streak, he's scoring goals, he's always been getting in a position, so it's good to see him finishing as well. It's all good feels, man. It's all good feels. And I mean, I've got to give a shout out to Granit Xhaka as well, because Granit Xhaka coming in, he had a bit of a dodgy first game, but he was out from a bloody 12-week injury, or for some reason, how he got back in 9 weeks, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a piece on Patreon for that, because it's some voodoo shit for me. But Partey always plays better with him in the team. They're playing more together and less of dropping into the left back type space. And it looks like that partnership has a really nice balance in terms of they complement each other really well. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with the game. We can see the attack is functional, and that's something we've called for ages. The defense is the defense. It's been solid for a while. The individuals are solid, and we've talked about that at length. So overall, like, it's a pretty good time to be an Arsenal fan. I don't expect us to go and I expect us to go and lose against City, but I'm seeing evolution rather than revolution, and that's cool. I'm happy to see that, and I'm just hopeful that we continue going in the same direction. But I'm a little bit mindful that we're not just in a good run of form playing terrible teams. And as soon as we start playing the teams towards the mid-table and the upper mid-table, we start to come unstuck offensively again. But overall, I can't be upset at what we're doing.
Yeah, good stuff. I tend to echo your thoughts. German Dan, do you tend to side with Leroy? Is it just a case of us beating up the bad teams, or are you seeing, an evolution stylistically? Because, we were sat here earlier on, some weeks back, talking about how, maybe we might have been picking up points, but we still had some valid concerns about, pinning teams back more, being a bit more sustainable in terms of how we attack, how we pin teams back, how we create, how we score. Have you been encouraged by what you've seen in the last few weeks, and particularly against Norwich too?
Yeah, I think it's probably quite difficult to ascertain. So you have to kind of go with like a mixture of what you've been seeing and a bit of gut feeling. And I think I echo the thoughts as well. And I think there has been an evolution, especially offensively. I think he's put solid foundations into the team defensively, but we've really struggled to score for the majority of last season and the early parts of this season. And then it didn't just click, but like Leroy said, he assembled the right profiles on attack. And I think the key piece of that was getting the best out of Ødegaard and getting the best out of Saka. And this month in particular, those two players have been very, very good. I'm sure they'll probably be up for player of the month, for Premier League player of the month, and Martinelli as well. Actually, all three of them have been really, really good, and all three, the way they play, it kind of complements each other, and like a kind of puts it together. In some way, you could say that Aubameyang debacle or the Aubameyang situation has rejuvenated our season, because we had that early spell where we did really well. I think it was like 5 or 7 games or something. I don't quite remember. We won quite a few games in a row, and we clawed back up the table. And then it started to look a bit higgy again against United. It was a difficult game. I felt the team looked disjointed, and I think Everton as well. And just at the right time, just before the Christmas run of games, this change happened, and I do feel that this can also apply to the better teams. And we played West Ham, and bear in mind that game was a real pressure game at the time. People were saying, yeah, I fancied Left Ham to leave us something, and we completely panned the ass. They were nowhere near us in that game. So that was a game that gave me a lot of encouragement, and I was confident that from the games that we have coming up, I think it was Norwich, and then maybe there was another game as well, that I was sure we would win and we would get the points. And I'm happy we have done. Bit, as we touched on in the group as well, a bit unlucky to not have played the Wolves game, even though 48 or less than 48-hour rest is not ideal. But it would have been nice to pick up another game and another win, because I'm sure we would have got that as well, just on the run that we're on right now. Whereas the City game kind of breaks up this run a little bit, because I struggle to see how we can get a win. They're just too good, and they're doing the December thing where they're just winning 10, 12 games in a row. So they're just doing that thing right now. Let's see how we compete in that game. For me, important in that game again, just to go back to like the Liverpool game, for example, where I felt like we competed for 20 minutes and then we completely capitulated. It's important that we compete in this game against City over the weekend for the whole 90 minutes. And I think that's where I need to see some progression as well. I've seen a lot of progression against the lower level teams, and that's an underrated trait, actually, being able to beat them quite convincingly. So I've seen a big progression there, which we have struggled so much last season. I mean, we all know that. So that's a big progression there. The middle level teams, we need to play them a bit more, but we've seen us against Leicester and West Ham. Now can we play against the best team and compete for 90 minutes? And I'm confident that if everyone stays fit, we can be close enough to where we want to be in the table, to be honest.
Yeah, great stuff on that. I guess, just slightly segueing on now. So if we look at it holistically, we're halfway through the league season now. we sit fourth in the Premier League, albeit Spurs and United both have games in hand on us. Spurs, if they win all their games in hand, go above us by just a point. But I think it is 2-3 away games they have. So, and they dropped points to Southampton yesterday as well. At the start of the season, we were all quite pessimistic.
Sorry to cut. And on the games, and I just got to say, man.
Sorry.
On the games, and I just got to say, man, these people got excited too early, man. You have to win these games first. You can't, I'm not looking at the table thinking, oh, we have a game in hand on, I think, as a Chelsea. We'd be close to them if we win that game. And that we need to win that first. That game could be a loss. It could be a draw. You don't know. You shouldn't be counting those points. And I don't know if many of the listeners listen to Battle Rap, but if you do, you might get this reference, yeah? You guys are having games in hand, playing against Southampton and God knows who, and Newcastle, and it's close. You having close battles with Bill Collector? You having close battles with Bill Collector? It's very, very funny. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think at the start of the season we were all quite pessimistic around our transfer business. We were all caught. When we look at the predictions, a lot of us didn't even predict us to reach the top 6. So we are currently sitting here after 19 games in 4th position on 35 points. If we were to extrapolate that over the course of the season and try to replicate what we've done in the first half of the season, in the second half of the season, 70 points usually gets you top 4. It would have got you, I think it was 60 odd, 60, 66, 67 points last season that got you top 4. So overall, what's your current assessment of the season so far, and what do you think we need to do to sort of continue to maintain? Leroy, I'll come to you first. Obviously, we've also played away at Old Trafford. We played away at the Etihad. We've already played away at Anfield. So we've got a lot of difficult, fixtures away in the first half of the season, and our home form is right up there along with City as the best in the league, I believe, as well. So, but obviously we'll have a lot of these teams that play at the Emirates in the second half of the season. So your overall current thoughts on the season so far, based on your initial predictions and, how you kind of see the second half of the season panning out as well.
So we've well outdone my expectations so far this season. So I wasn't really particularly optimistic this season. I think not just myself, along with us lot on the pod, and along with the majority of people online that I saw, when the window closed, we weren't really enamored with a lot of the signings we've made. We thought they'd made a lot of bad choices, but obviously so far at least, we've been proven wrong categorically about pretty much every signing. I mean, a lot of us thought Odegaard would be good, and he's cooking now, so that's good. But a big factor for me is, even though we've conceded more goals than we have last season in the same games, because we lost big in the big games, I still feel like defensively we've been solid. So you look at Gabriel, not put a foot wrong, Colossus this season. Ben White has surprised pleasantly and been very, very good this season. He started out as well in terms of quite conservative in terms of his passing, and he was decent in terms of his carrying, but you can really see where he adds value in terms of the build-up play as well. Just in terms of the press resistance and the fact that he can step past people. Tomiyasu has been absolutely sensational signing. Solid lockdown defender, very good technically, which doesn't get talked about enough. And in terms of people talk about him going forward, yes, okay, he might not be the best in the opposing third or the final third. In terms of his ball progression and in terms of his pass selection and in terms of his quality under pressure, absolutely fantastic. Nuno Tavares had a run in the team, superb signing as a backup left back, really offers some other different qualities that Tierney doesn't. Tierney started slowly this season and now he's picking up as well. So and Ramsdale has been absolutely sensational. He's probably been one of our signings of the season so far. So when we look at that, there's a really solid base that we started to build. So very, very quickly, when these men came into the team, you could see that they're not bozos at the back and that we were looking relatively solid. The next problem then came with our offensive output. In my opinion, a lot of the offensive problems came from midfield. And that was because Partey wasn't really playing well and was being really inconsistent. Xhaka came out of the team, and I actually liked where we went with Xhaka out of the team, because I thought, even though Lokonga, for me, still needs a lot of development, his profile and what he was doing in terms of punching it through the middle, in terms of shortening the game rather than Xhaka's type of game, and being a little bit more penetrative from a central area, was quite good, and I was liking that evolution. But Xhaka's come back into the team now, still looking good. When Xhaka's got time and space, there is no doubt he can boss a game. He has his flaws, he has his weaknesses, but that kid can, or that guy, sorry, I say kid, he's younger than me still, but that guy, he can boss a game when he's given time. So he had a really good season last season, and he's not having a bad season this season since he's come back. He's had a couple of dodgy games, but he's not been too bad. In terms of sort of how I see the season so far, it's been a case of, just like I said, evolution rather than revolution. We're building. Arteta's, to be honest, even though I'm still not convinced by him, he's coached his ass off this season, if we're being real, because we've been presented with lots of different problems, and he's solved those problems one by one so far. That's what it looks like anyway. I mean, we'll have to see if this attack thing lasts. So, and the thing that's, like I said, even though we might not agree with Arteta's approach all the time, you can always see that we are a well-coached side. And you can always see what we are trying to do on a football pitch. And you can always notice when there's differences as well. So he has made positive steps, and he's created solutions to problems, and we're slowly building. So overall, if we can continue this improvement and we can get some signings in January, they might outdo all our expectations, and they might go on to do really well this season. So overall, so far, if you look at 19 games, a halfway point, this has been a successful season for us from where we started and where we're expecting to be. And then hopefully long may it continue.
Yeah, great stuff. I'd be inclined to agree. Obviously, I think a lot of us, we were quite scathing in our ratings of the window. And obviously, like you said, we're only halfway through the season, so there's still a lot of a way to go. We've still got, a lot of difficult fixtures to come. I probably do think we have, though, benefited from the one game a week, even though, as Arsenal fans, we'd all like to see us play a bit more. But I think, more time on the training ground from the coach, less load on the players consistently, I think has probably worked in our favour. So we'll see how that sort of extrapolates over the course of the season. So yeah, Dan, same to you. How have you found the half a season so far relevant, compared to your initial expectations?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster because this summer, yeah, as you said, we were underwhelmed. I thought all the signings looked nice on paper, they look cool, but I was looking at who's moving the needle for us in midfield, especially in attack. I was a big fan of Odegaard, I still am, so I was like, okay, Odegaard I can take, but who's moving the needle? Are we going to do more? I really wanted us to, do a war chest type of summer, and they spent a lot of money, but I think maybe they had a plan from the offset, sort of. And I think what really I didn't take into consideration in the summer was the development of Saka and Smith Rowe, and also Martinelli now who's come into the team. And I think this is probably something that internally they have looked at and said, we believe these guys can do it this season. We just need to put them in the best possible environment to do it, find the best possible team for them to thrive in. And I think that's why they've been trying. And honestly, our form and our positive form is really down to Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, Odegaard, all these guys being very, very potent, super potent in their attacking play. They all have had some games when they weren't that good, but they have had so many good games individually, all of them. So I think that has massively contributed to where we are at the moment. And I agree with Leroy's thoughts on Arteta. Yeah, he has managed some very, very difficult situations. I mean, after the first three losses, that's a horror situation to be in as an Arsenal manager. And then he turned it around and he won quite a lot of games in a row. Given the circumstances, that wasn't easy at the time, and the team didn't look good going into that run. And then again, when the expectations were started rising, the team kind of fell short on a few occasions. But then he got the team to perform again throughout this month, and it's made a big difference on where we are on the table. And to think that we've played so many of these big teams away already leaves me with confidence that I think we can finish the season stronger. I think the next 2 months are obviously crucial, and they will be difficult. But I've always known Arsenal to finish the season pretty strongly, especially in the latter stages, unless it was on the Unai Emery. So I think as Leroy also said, if we maybe can do something in Jan to plug the gaps a little bit. I know we're not playing that many games when AFCON is happening, but I'm just a bit weary of Partey not being here. I do think Lokonga, when he's played, has played really well and he's stepped up. But yeah, I do feel like maybe we can just bolster the squad a little bit, because I don't think we've had a big injury yet. And also, I always feel like every team or every squad kind of gets one big injury, or it doesn't have to be an ACL. It could be like a few weeks out. You kind of always experiencing them. And maybe I guess the Xhaka one was one, but I just feel like there could be one or two more injuries. Even though the cadence of our games is less than our opponents. So I'm just a bit wary of that, and I'd like us to bolster the squad out a little bit, and I'd like us to maybe get another attacking option. With Aubameyang now out in the cold, I hope the club can move him on in this January window. I don't want us to like lose 2 games on the bounce at some point, and then people to talk about, oh, Aubameyang should be coming back in. I think it's important that he moves on and the club moves on, because it doesn't look like there's any way back, to be honest. So yeah. On the whole, I'm very, very pleased where we are right now. I know this is a bit of a monologue, but yeah, I'm very pleased where we are right now. And I hope we can, continue and we can compete in the bigger games. I think we can be thereabouts. And I always kind of thought that some of the teams that we think, or some of the teams that on paper look good, they probably won't end up performing good, like the likes of Leicester, like the likes of United, Spurs. I always kind of felt like there's an opening for top 4 or top 6 potentially. It's just about being consistent, and just having one game a week allows us to be that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think Dan Coogs mentioned, talked about the season being a points accumulation season, and it is really just a case of the team who's most consistent will win out at the end. So hopefully, I think we've got Mired Semra here who said 70 points, do we think it'd be enough for Champions League? I do think it'd probably be enough for Champions League this year. So if we can, replicate what we've done over the first half of the season, I think that probably gets top 4. And I still expect everyone to drop points, just because the reality of the fact is the league is hot. Do you know what I mean? That there isn't any guarantees. Everyone is fighting for something. Do you know what I mean? So you saw United go to Newcastle. Newcastle, they barely won a game this season. So and they're backed, by oil money. So obviously they've got their own agenda as well. So yeah, I think every team will have their struggles. Every team will have their ups and downs. So it's just the team that can, manage to fight above it, stay consistent, avoid big injuries, avoid COVID, which we've seen as, rattled a lot of teams as well. So we'll see how that pans out over the course of the season. I think you both, you both referenced, the January window. So I think I'll come on to it now. We look at it, there's been heavy links in the last few days with Ainsley Maitland-Niles talking about a loan to Roma with an option obligation of around 12 mil. And, we've spoken already about Partey and Elneny both going to the African Cup of Nations. So that literally just leaves us with Xhaka and Lokonga. Now, obviously, I like Patino, but he's obviously physically nowhere near the level that we need yet for him to be featuring regularly. And obviously we've got a 2-legged cup tie against Liverpool. We have an FA Cup tie away to Nottingham Forest as well. So we are going to be playing a lot of games in January. So we do need the numbers. So I guess looking at it now in January, how would you approach it, Leroy? And is there anything you do in particular?
So I feel that the season has presented us an opportunity we didn't expect. We expected to sort of try and finish in a respectable position and go for Europa League. We find ourselves at the halfway point, genuinely in the top 4. Don't waste the opportunity. I feel that we should try our best to go as big as possible, because we're gonna lose a lot from AFCON, a lot more than most teams, because even though Partey's been sometime-ish this season, he's extremely important to us. Aubameyang, okay, yes, I understand that he's not in the squad right now. He goes away. If Laka gets an injury, we'll start with Eddie. Balogun's likely going to go on loan anyway. So we're really lacking up top in that central area. I feel that we've kind of got enough in other areas. Obviously, we've been quite lucky with injuries. If we lose one of the key pillars, the Gabriels, the Lacazettes at the moment, the Parteys, for a significant period, we could be in big trouble. And I would love to see us hedge those bets and hedge our bets, and make sure that we've just got cover and we've got another third quality CM that can be played in that position. We have an option if Lucky gets injured or gets COVID again or whatever. Those are the things I'd like to see, even if they're creative short-term options. Because if we can navigate this well and navigate it to the point where the drop-off isn't too big, you're seeing how tough this season is, and teams are having players drop like flies with COVID, they're having injuries, they're having all sorts, particularly with Europe, etc. So you've got to seize your opportunities when they come. So I would like to see a starting CM. I think that's doable in January. I think we can go and buy one if we put the money up. And I would, if we have to pay a premium to do it, so be it. And then I'd like to see a forward come in, a central forward, somebody who can play in the central positions, whether that be a creative option like a Luka Jovic on loan or something along those lines if we are to shift Aubameyang. But if we aren't able to shift Aubameyang, he needs to be reintegrated to the group. I understand that this disciplinarian thing, I understand that you want to have the same rules for everyone else. I understand all of that. However, sometimes the win is more important. What's best for the team is more important. We would need him in the group if he if we don't get anyone else in. And if he is not part of the group and that's not going to happen, then they have to move heaven and earth to make something else happen. They must do it. And if we do that, then we can really go into the second half of the season confidently, because I feel like I said, the defense is relatively solid. I mean, Holding is not our most favourite player, but he can come in and do a job. We've got real good backup at left back. We've shown Ben White, in terms of this system, can fill in at right back. Central mid, like I said, we need that position. Out wide, I feel like when ESR's on the bench, he's not even getting starts. When Saka gets cold or Martinelli gets cold or Odegaard gets cold, ESR comes in. One of them will pick up the slack. I feel like we've got enough in that position. So up front, centre mid, I'd like to see things done that are going to bolster us and really give us that push for the top four. Because if we make the top four this season, everything changes. Everything changes because we're back, and then we can really go big, and then we can really consolidate that. And I feel like if we do that, especially with this young squad, the first time they're together, the soft factors in that will make a massive difference. Imagine all of these young boys have come together, and the first season they got Champions League. That kind of thing builds momentum, and that will be really important for the morale and the belief of the group. So. Oh, yeah, fingers crossed they see that too, and they go on and do the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. Just before you come in, Dan, I think obviously, we've had discussions about this in the group chat as well. Sometimes January being a hard window to try and buy what we necessarily need. I think it might be easier to buy a centre midfielder than probably a forward. Just because, the forward market is always a bit more limited and it's harder to get what you want done in Jan. We saw a link today with Bruno Guimaraes. We're all a fan of him as well at Lyon. Lyon aren't doing too well at the moment in Liga. They sit 13th in the league. So it doesn't look like they're going to get Europe again this season. So I think, a big bid, it's talking in the region of £38 million. I think that's very reasonable for him. Yeah, I think that's very reasonable for him. We've seen tentative links with Bologna midfielder Matthias Vanberg. Now, I don't know much about him. I've only watched one full game of his against Juve. He looks to be a bit more of an all-action type midfielder. But he's
is Matthias Schwanberg, by the way.
Sorry, Dan. All right, sorry, Dan. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Our resident linguist.
I haven't watched that guy, but I mean, the Touchy Gooners are famous for the FB ref, right? I don't use it. I don't even know how to get access to that. But then man drop it in the group. That was smelly. All I saw was Bruno Fernandes. That's all I saw. I saw flipping what's it called? Swedish Bruno Fernandes. And like players who aren't securing the ball. One, I ain't feeling them. And number two, I don't see Arteta really going down that route either. I know, Sharon, you said you watched the game and you saw something different, but
No. I mean, you might well be right. I said I've only watched one game against Juve, and he didn't look loose in that game. But obviously, statistically, it doesn't look great at the moment. So I think it's one of those we probably have to try and watch him a few more times. It's a tough one because obviously we were all heavily critical of everything we done in the summer, but they ended up being better than we thought. And I think, yeah, to your point, I don't think Arteta is the sort of guy who's going to want anyone who's loose on the ball, since he places so much emphasis in terms of build up. I don't think he's going to settle for any sort of Bruno Fernandes type. So I guess it's probably one to watch. On the striker issue, I think the issue is it's just going to be hot. Who's going to be paying Aubameyang's wages? I feel like the only creative short-term option, if we are to get him out, it will be like a short-term loan, and it looks like we'd have to still foot the majority of those wages wherever it will be. So that's a tough one to play. So I'm going to be interested to see how Arteta plays that, just because realistically, I don't know who we can get in Jan that is going to be, fill our needs. I feel like it might have to be a wait till summer job. So it might be a case of Aubameyang gets reintegrated, but it's probably just a case of wait and see on that one. So yeah, Dan, what's your thoughts on it? January.
Yeah, I mean, we're just agreeing on the spot today. It's probably because Lewis is not on. But I do agree. I think we have a big opportunity with top four. We're in a very good position, and we are playing fixtures in January, but not that many. But we want to have a strong squad when we come out of this period, what's an international break. When people return from an international break in February, we want to be in a strong position to be able to pick up points very fast and very consistently. That's the period when all our ops are essentially going to be playing their European games as well. So their cadence of games is going to be very, very peak. They'll be playing on the weekend, playing midweek, playing on the weekend, playing midweek. Us, man, we're going to be chilling in the week. Our players probably going to be going on brunches, etc., etc. And then the weekend, we need to be ready to pam, So I do think that they will do something. I think that they do recognize that. And I think generally, in the group, I said it a couple of times now, with transfers, I don't want to judge the players too early now. I watch what the player looks like. I say if I think he's good or not, but I'm not going to say absolutely don't do it, etc., etc. I'm going to see when they're here, unless it's like a very clear case, like a Willian. That's just the type of transfer I'm not going to be agreeing with. But if the profile is under 25 and stuff, I'm just going to wait and see, because it does seem like they do extensive scouting. It does seem like they do sort of their homework on those players and how they fit in, not just stylistically, but also culturally. Ramsdale, Ben White, Tomiyasu, all these players have fit in quite seamlessly culturally. Odegaard was already here. So I feel like these guys do their homework more extensively nowadays. And then Matthias Schwanberg didn't look great on the statistics. And I do agree that I'm inclined to believe that the pass completion is just way too low for Arteta to consider it. Even though in the clips he looked like a technically capable player, but if you have those type of tendencies, I'd be surprised if Arteta does it. But if he does it, then he must have a plan. These guys seem to want to do everything with a plan at the moment. I do, however, think that quite a possible transfer in January is Zakaria, and not a player that I'm, again, particularly keen on or fond on. But again, I'm going to judge him if they sign him when he's here. He's a player that I do think is not the best technically, but he's very secure on the ball. I was looking at the stats. I posted to FBref in the group. He's got a 90% pass completion, so he doesn't give the ball away much with his passes. So I don't know. He's got the physical profile. He got the ball carrying. I can see it, given that his contract is expiring at the end of the season. So going into Jan, we could offer him a deal essentially, but we could also get a cut price deal, negotiating with Gladbach. And I think I saw some stories. I think it was Kicker, which is pretty reliable in Germany as far as news outlets go, where they said that Zakaria is probably available for a cut price of around 7 million euros. And that's a Swiss international, 25 years old. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that deal, because maybe it's quite straightforward to do. And then in the striker position, I think, Leroy, you mentioned the striker that I could potentially see. Jovic is not gonna his future in Real Madrid, or his future at Real Madrid is not looking great. He's played a few games this year, and he's also scored a couple goals. I've watched some of the games, and he looked decent, to be fair. Not someone that I would want to have long term, but I think in the medium, I wouldn't mind him at all. And I also feel like he probably knows that he needs to get out there to get clubs interested in him, given that Real Madrid are going to get either Haaland or Mbappe or both in the summer, and then there's really curtains for him. So I guess a loan for him would be quite good. And I think motivation is a big part on some of these players, and we talk about it a couple of times, but I think it'd be a good motivation for him to come here on loan and try, play really well to gain a move, maybe to Arsenal, maybe to someone else, since this Real Madrid future is not looking that rosy. But yeah, I think that Zakaria is quite likely. I know Bruno G is someone that we all admire. I think he's a super, super good player. Does a lot of things very fast, of 1 or 2 touches. I like efficient and technical players, and he's just that. And he's also very tenacious. I think he's like sort of the perfect CM that we could sign him or Basuma. But Bruno G has better passing. He's got the better, the ball progression. I think he's probably a bigger sort of package overall that we'd like to do. I think we prefer signing players from across the country rather than in the Premier League. I say that having us having just signed Ramsdale and Ben White, but I generally feel like Arsenal's the type of team that like going to Europe to make signings. So I could see that being an interesting case. I'm not sure in this window, but Lyon are not doing bad. They're not doing well. They're in like 12th or something like that, aren't they? So maybe there's an opening. And they always need money. So
let's just hold on that point now for a bit. So obviously you've mentioned Zakaria, Bruno G as well. So we've seen in recent games a slight change in shape. Tini's not been, with Martinelli in the side, Tini's not been pushed up as much. He will have bursts during the game, but on the whole, generally he's been a bit more conservative. It's because because of how Martinelli likes to play. We've also seen, and I think this is one I probably wanted to touch on a bit and link it in with the type of centre mids we've had. So Xhaka has been playing in the same line as Odegaard. So even though it's a 4-2-3-1 on paper, when you take a lot of stills or look at videos of it during the game, the shape is very much a V shape with Partey at the base, and you've got Xhaka and Odegaard just ahead. So Xhaka's been pressing up a lot higher, and obviously Odegaard's been in the right half space. So if we look at it holistically like that, and say we're targeting a left centre mid, what profile, and let's project here, let's try and get into Arteta's head, do you think he might be looking at? So obviously you mentioned Zakaria or Bruno G. What type of player do you think fits that profile? Leroy, let's go to you first as well.
Sorry, man, I was just literally sorting something out. What was the question again?
No, so I was just saying, in the last few games, we've seen the shape change. Yeah. So we've seen Xhaka push a lot higher up. Arteta's, he's been playing in the same line as Odegaard, so it's specifically been a V shape with Xhaka and Odegaard. Xhaka operating as the left sort of centre mid in the formation. So if we try and project forward, what type of centre mid do you think Arteta might be interested in?
Yeah. Sorry, like you, man. This is what I do for Touchy Gooners, yeah. Like, I'm ignoring patience for you, man. That's what I'm doing. Like, just so you know. Like,
yo.
But anyway, I see Arteta getting quite a balanced midfielder in that role. So I don't see him getting like a proper 8. I see him getting someone who can do quite a lot of things. So I think he's going to be obviously in the nature, because it will be technically quote unquote base of the midfield. He needs to be able to do the base job and sort of 8 job. So he's going to be someone who's pretty high volume, high touch, good passer, but then also has a bit of the creativity and penetration in his passing, so he can be a bit creative and slide balls into the final third. I think the person who Arteta's going to have in that position is going to have need a high engine, and is going to be a reasonable ball winner. So overall, they're going to have to be sort of jack of all trades, master of none, or a pretty good all-rounder, in my opinion. And that's what I think that we'll get in that. And that's why I can see Bruno G fitting in stylistically in that role. The only concern I have about him is I know he's a bit tenacious and he's like a bit not scatty, but he's got the grit in him. I'm worried about him athletically in this league. someone like, Barella. Someone said Barella would be amazing, but I don't see him ever coming to us. But someone in that Bruno G, Barella type mold, very, very well-rounded midfielder who can do both sides of the game, and who's pretty tactically flexible. That's the type of person I see now. I would love Yves Bissouma. We saw Yves Bissouma just munch up that Chelsea midfield today, as he does on countless occasions against countless midfields. For me, that kind of, when you bring Bissouma into midfield, you bring the type of player who, even though he might not be the right profile for what Arteta might want, you bring domination. Because when you see Bissouma and then you see Partey in a midfield together, you think, fuck, they're in for a game. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'd love to see. But I feel that Arteta will want someone who's a bit more pass heavy, a bit higher volume from that perspective, and maybe a bit more well-rounded. But it's a shame because I think Bissouma is an amazing player. And I feel like if we brought him into the team, you know how like Liverpool suffocate teams and it's literally the stranglehold. I can see Bissouma dropping into our team, and I can see us literally penning teams in and pamming them all game. Big teams, small teams, loads of teams. Add the striker to that. Add the get rid of Pepe. Add a winger who's got 1v1 quality to that mix. We're cooking. We're cooking. We can't lie.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Dan, any thoughts on the profile? Do you think Leroy mentioned a high touch, sort of a balancer. When that sort of comes to mind, I sort of think of like a Gundogan type as well. Someone who's highly involved on both sides of it. What do you think he might look at? He might be targeting.
I find it difficult to say. To be honest, I think there's a number of profiles that would fit, and I do think that the Bruno G profile and sort of the balanced sort of midfielder kind of fits. And it kind of aligns with some of the links that we've seen. Bruno, we've seen Zakaria as well, who I think is on the lower end of quality and compared to the pairs that we talked about. And then we've also seen Ruben Neves, again, a midfielder I think that does both sides. I think he's come on quite well this season. He's looked quite good. Not like we've seen the link, but I think that's probably sort of the type of profile that we're looking for. And then when you look at what we bought in Lokonga as someone that develops or is developing into this type of profile, and it's going to be this type of profile. So I think this is the type of midfielder Arteta likes. So yeah, probably Bissouma, Bruno G. Just when I see Arteta try the 4-3-3, however, sometimes I kind of feel like, you need a very ball, technically secure ball carrier, someone that can get the ball and turn fast. So I do think that maybe the Aouar door is not closed yet, because I still see him as this type of player that can do these type of things. And not just Aouar, I think also Yacine Adli. I think he plays in the attacking midfield sometimes, but he also plays in central midfield. He's fairly tall. He's a bit skinny, but he's on the tall side. We know they want to sign taller players as well. And he's a very good player. He's a very, very good presser. Technically, he's absolutely cold. I think they're doing their work on the scouting, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see, like a name that we didn't expect, and they sign them, and then, I see what they do, but just because they went 6 out of 6 in the summer, really, with all the signings, they've got some credit in the bank from our side, and I'm excited to see what they do. I hope they do something. We've been there so many times in the Wenger areas where we felt like, let's do something this window. Let's pull something out the bag. We need to do something. And then deadline day, we get Kim Kallstrom. Nah, this is not one of them days. We don't want that right now. We need something real. We need something tangible. We need something that pushes the team forward. And I think competition is good, man. We need more competition in this team. And I feel like the Saka Pepe competition for the 5 games that towards the end of the season where it lasted, coming into the season and Saka coming in, like Saka knew he had to do his thing to kind of make clear, like, Pepe, you ain't welcome here no more, bro. The starting lineup is not for you, bro. And the same as for Odegaard and ESR. I think probably Isak doesn't play that much in the term, but I think there's healthy competition. Isak, every time he comes on, he's leaving with something in the last 3 games. Before that, he was starting games and being our best player. So same as Martinelli now coming in. Competition is good. We need more competition in midfield and up top. Those are the 2 key areas, man. It would be lovely if you do something.
Hey, I don't want to see no Artemelo around.
Yeah,
Because rumor has it Artemelo got writer syndrome. I'm not going to tell you what that is. I'm not going to say that. No, it is. Google writer syndrome. Writer syndrome. Have a look at what that is, and then keep it to yourself. And I don't want to be super live on it, but that's what allegedly. So
you heard a good doctor on that. I feel like I think Leroy made this point before. I feel like and Dan, you just referenced it as well. The club have been very, 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 very specific in terms of the players they're targeting. I don't feel like Arteta is the sort of guy who can be pressured into panic buying. I feel like he wants who he wants. Do you know what I mean? So, and it has to be a very, very specific profile. So, yeah, it won't surprise me for it to be like a name we've totally not heard of, sort of a left field name. I do feel like Bruno G sort of fits the mold, fits the bill. I do also actually think, I agree with you, Dan, I think Aouar sort of fits that left centre mid mold as well. He is obviously a bit more lightweight, and you do maybe wonder, is Aouar, Odegaard, too much? Is it a bit too lightweight? Based on all the guys they've been signing, have been sort of 6 foot sort of guys. Even Odegaard is not small himself as well. Do you know what I mean? So it looks like they're trying to sign guys with athletic capabilities, but also have the a good base technical level as well. So it'll be interesting. Bruno Guimaraes is 6 foot. That Svanberg guy is also 6'1". So Zakaria is over 6 foot as well. So all these guys as well kind of do fit the mold. So I guess it's just it's one to watch. But I do feel, and I side with both of you, the position we're in at the moment, I feel like we really need to thrive, and we really need to try and take advantage of it. We're in a strong position, so let's try and hammer it home. But just before we close, let's get on to this criminal, Pep Guardiola. We've just seen his comments. He said he's about to play an Arsenal side that are in its best form in 5-6 years. And you know what Pep is like when he starts complimenting you like that. He's about to give you a 4-5 piece in the next game. So, and I hate the way he's so cheeky with it, because he's like, he'll beat you, his team will flog you, and they'll be like, it's the hardest team we played all season. Man, shut up, man. Shut up. Like,
well, he's actually a sickle,
I hate him. I actually just hate him. And the thing is, like, it's one of those games like where I just want to get over and done with, because the vibes have been so good recently, and I feel like we're just going to be brought crashing down to earth. So it's one of those, like, I don't really know how to obviously look at it. Arteta's now got COVID again for the second time, so he's not going to be on the sideline. So they're going to be having Albert Stuyvenberg, nickname AirPod Albert, as I've been seeing online today, on the sideline. So
Arsenal fans are funny, man.
Arsenal fans have got the best London names, honestly. AirPod Albert. So yeah, I guess
that's got to be the pod title, surely, man.
AirPod Albert, definitely. That's the pod title. So I guess, Dan, how it's sad as well, man, because it's literally 12:30 on New Year's Day. Like, I'm trying to start 2022 right, and this is what they're giving to me on New Year's Day. So how do you see this going, and do you think we're going to see anything different tactically for the game?
It's very difficult, man. When Guardiola does those comments, though, he usually wants to pam your ass. Like, I remember the one time, You remember when there was a big Sarri hype? Napoli were doing so well in the league. I think they ended up with 90 points, still didn't win the league, just marginally missed out. In the Champions League, oh my God, Guardiola was making me sick. The way he was talking about the Sarri team, like, they're world beaters and they're like amazing, and the way it's so good, so wide, all this shit he was talking. I need to flog them, bro. I need to flog them. So I know he's got something hot for us, bro. He's got something hot for us. I can't lie. I hope it's not something crazy. I hope it's not a 5-piece. Listen, if it's a 3-piece, my body can take that still. Like, I've been through it, man. So I can take a 3-piece, but a 5-piece? Oh, on New Year's Day? Oh, shit, man. So, yeah, I think Arteta will probably... I don't know. Arteta does have the Guardiola thing where it's like, that
galaxy brain.
Yeah, that's right.
That's like wild.
The Jimmy Neutron brain. Big game? Oh, let me cook something up. You might see ESR Force 9 or something like that.
I was just about to say, it wouldn't surprise me if we just
know.
saw ESR Force 9 again on New Year's Day.
I would say let's stay with this team that we've been using, but I think he's gonna do something that we don't expect. It's just I got a feeling.
I'd be inclined to agree. I feel the main thing I want to see from this game is just for us to be competitive, and I think you mentioned it earlier. Just be competitive against them for long terms, for good periods during the game, cause them issues, try and hit them in the channels, when the fullbacks are inverted. There's always space to attack. I just want to see us cause some issues. I'm not expecting to win. We're not as good as them. They're far, far superior. It is what it is. But at the same time, we're Arsenal, we're at home. We shouldn't just be rolling over and just accepting, the L. So yeah, we need to find different ways to cause them issues, cause different ways to stress them, and hopefully we can, man. So let's see how it pans out. Dr. Lee, how do you feel about it? How do you see it going? Anything you'd like to see for that Man City game?
I mean, if I was Arteta, I would switch it up. I would go full-blown counter-attack. I just don't see the way we're playing. I just don't see us beating City that way. The only way I see us beating City is the way Leicester hold threat against them, the way Liverpool hold threat against them, the way West Ham hold threat against them. It's just being really effective on the counter-attack. So just shutting down all the spaces, particularly in central areas. You've got Martinelli, who's a threat. The only problem is Laka's not really a threat. You really kind of need ESR on the pitch because ESR, Saka, Martinelli are real counter-attacking threats, to be honest. So I'd probably play ESR rather than Odegaard, and I'd have Laka as my set merchant, and then just hope that we can spring with them free. That's how I would go about the game. That's what I'd see. I'd probably also play Nuno Tavares.
I was going to say the ball carrier.
Yeah, because he's another ball carrier. I'll play him. And yeah, that's how I'll probably go about it, to be honest with you. I would play Xhaka instead of Lokonga because Xhaka's got the range, and he's probably got the best range on the team, and you'd need that in that type of game. But yeah, that's how I'd go about it, and that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, I feel like you said a key feature will just be how we spring, and it's always been said about Guardiola sides. Even if you look to when we were under Wenger and we played Barca, you've got to be able to beat that first line. If you can beat that first line, you can get at them. Do you know what I mean? So, and I saw Antonio cause Laporte issues earlier this season as well. Do you know what I mean? So they do have, certain players, and I've seen Edison have some bozo moments this season as well. So if you can get past that first line of pressure, if you can evade it, if you can stress it, you can cause it. And that's really the main takeaway I'm trying to look for from this game. I'm not expecting a victory. Or a draw, either would be nice, but I want to see us, because a 4-piece is not going to help anybody. It's not going to help our confidence. Do you know what I mean? So we've been on a good run. So even if we lose, let's please lose in a dignified way where we can take X or Y from the game and say, you know what, I can see this is good green shoots going forward. So yeah, let's see on that. So yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, I mean, I think if we don't have anything else to say, unless there's anything else you guys want to touch on quickly before we can wrap it up there. I think we will try not to get a Patreon pod out before the City game on New Year's Day as well. So, but yeah, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you guys are enjoying your festive periods. If you're celebrating, yeah, some of us, didn't get to enjoy as much on Christmas Day as we would have liked, but yeah, we move. New Year, come in. We'll hear that New Year spiel, but hopefully it'll be a good one for Arsenal. So, lads, thank you very much for joining me, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Take care.
Nice.
Please.